Art and Stage Talk Radio. This is Heidi Hardy, and I am your host. We are here in the studio tonight, and we have a great show planned for everybody. I want to start with the intro music. We are celebrating a new year coming up, and the wonderful guest in the studio with me, we were just talking about how exciting the new year is. So we'll sort of jump into that in a moment. Before we get started, we like to make sure that we thank our sponsors. Tracy?
Yes, we're delighted to be here with you tonight. Tracy Jordan here with you from Dance Council of North Texas on Art and Stage. And we have some terrific sponsors that help us bring this program to you. We have Park Place Volvo. Right now they're celebrating their winter sales event. If you want a car that's perfect for you and your family with plenty of power, outstanding safety, state-of-the-art technology, not to mention dashing good looks. In other words, if you want the total package. And believe me, no car gives it to you like a Volvo, especially when you get it at Park Place during the Volvo Wonder of Winter sales event. Now, whether you're headed home for the holidays or off on a wintry adventure, hit the road in a brand new Volvo. For a limited time, get 3 months payment on us when you purchase or lease a new Volvo. It's our way of wishing you happy holidays this year. And all eligible models come equipped with standard features like engine remote start and built-in Wi-Fi. And at Park Place, it also comes with one feature that's anything but standard, and that's Volvo Performance in a dealership. Stop by their Dallas location now or visit parkplace.com during the Volvo Wonder of Winter sales event. And we'll be bringing you a special secret code to use when you talk to them a little later in the program.
Are you talking about the anyone that comes into the store code?
That's it.
Yeah, you have to stay tuned. It's very exciting. So thank you, Tracy. And Tracy is our co-host, and he's marvelous. Tracy, I'm going to give you just a few minutes or seconds to introduce yourself to our lovely audience.
Well, I work for Dallas Summer Musicals. I am the director of our DSM High School Musical Theater Awards program. And if you're out there saying, what the heck is that? If you've ever seen the Tony Awards on Broadway, well, that's what we do for high schools. And this is our 6th year of the program. And we are now the second largest program in the country with 80 high schools participating across North Texas and now into Oklahoma. And we go out and see their shows and have a big awards show in the spring at the Music Hall at Fair Park.
So we've just had a lot of fun. Last week's show was a lot of fun. If you missed the show is on demand. So make sure that you get a chance to click on to some of the other shows that we've had. I think this is our 4th one.
Yes, it is. And you can find that link for the on-demand to see those past broadcasts at thedancecouncil.org.
Yeah. Well, we have a wonderful guest in the studio, Reese Myers McCormick. Hello. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We're very excited about hearing all about you and Katy Conservatory College. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I wanted to also kind of bring in what the topic of today is. And I know we're talking about the conservatory and the college, but also we want people who are listening to get a taste of what we're going to bring to them. One of the things that when I did all the research and read through the website, is this is about people who may have ambition and a dream to be in musical theater or film or do something in their lives of that, and how you can help sort of walk them through that process and what that looks like. Can you give us a little bit more about that?
Well, I would have to answer that question by starting with myself, because I was hatched sort of knowing my whole family knew, because of the things that I would drag them to watch in the basement or whatever, that I was going to be a performer of some kind. And I was born into a military family, and, my father scratched his head for a number of years. In fact, I think here in my adult life, he would say, well, you could, if you got with a good company, you could still be vested, by the time you're saying, I'm going, I'm 40 years old. I'm an actor and that's what I'm going to be, So, I don't think anybody comes to a life in the arts unless they come from a family in the arts without certain obstacles. So you're right if you're out there thinking that you might be met with criticism or scrutiny or just raised eyebrows, because the first thing everybody wants to say is, well, how are you going to make a living? And I'm here to tell you that living in Texas, you can make a living in the arts. And in my art form is acting. I know professional musicians and other kinds of performers who make livings, but it's not like the larger markets on the West Coast or the East Coast or even Chicago, because there, you if you're a voice actor, you can't get arrested for theater, and if you're a film actor, it's really hard to do.
You're right. I really, I think of it as not just the arts, but arts and media, because I've had so many opportunities come to me in areas that were not my primary training, but hey, it's a gig, so you take it.
That's right, and here you can do it. A good agent in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, or Houston or San Antonio or any of the big metropolitan areas where you would have an agent, even Albuquerque or Baton Rouge, or they will all be ready to send you out for a print job on Monday, a movie on Tuesday, a commercial on Wednesday, a voiceover. So you can do it all here. And that keeps it interesting, as well as being more opportunities for, making money. So that's what I've enjoyed about staying in Texas. I tried New York, I tried Los Angeles, and I wanted acreage, and I wanted a chicken coop. And I said, I'm going to go back home to Texas and make it work, and so that's what I did.
Well, Dallas, it is a big metropolitan area, and it is known for its arts and the support that they get. The Dance Council of North Texas does a great job of spreading art and dance to the community. I think if I want the audience to walk away with anything, is that we have resources here. And wonderful resources like Katy Conservatory College. And so we'll get into a little more detail about the professors there as you yourself.
Because it's a gem, and it's something that a lot of people don't even know about or think about.
Yeah.
And it's right in our own backyard.
Well, the way I see it is there are some people that are probably sitting at their job right now or their desk and dreaming of doing something else, and like you, maybe hatched to or born to do something, and not really aware of all the resources that are available to them and the people that can help them walk through it. So I'm hoping that they get an opportunity to really to search that, and maybe 2017 is their year.
Yeah.
I know.
I hope so.
Yeah, and I know the school welcomes them.
Oh, absolutely. People from all walks of life. We have a variety. I wrote the curriculum for the children's program when I left the Dallas Theater Center back in the 1980s, somewhere at the end of the 80s.
I love the 80s.
And the kids can start at age 4.
Yeah.
And the kids program goes to age 12. And then we have teen programs. We have summer camps, which are a lot of fun. You sign up to be in Seussical or to be in Cinderella or whatever, and then the teacher makes it so. And then we have adult short courses, which is where a lot of midlifers come because they've always just wondered what it would be like to do voiceover or commercials or scene work. In fact, we had a lawyer, Johnny Sneed, was in one of my classes at KD Conservatory, and he just had this itch. He just wanted to take a class, and he'd obviously gone to law school and was working. And he came to KD and took the night courses, and I see him all over primetime now.
Wow.
Yeah, he moved to LA and he makes his living in it. But it was just, he followed that little voice inside that said, give it a try. What have you got to lose?
Yeah.
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 What have you got to lose?
And Johnny, you're welcome for that plug.
Yeah. Sure. Put me in your next. Yeah. We're a package deal now, Johnny. Okay. Wherever you go, I go.
Well, and I love that story. I love it. I mean, one of the reasons why I'm here today is because I was a guest on a show, and I got behind a microphone in a radio studio, and it was like a bolt of lightning. It just it hit me that this is what I want to do, and I want to do this for forever. So, and I don't know, it was just a few years ago, so I was in my 40s. And but it was never too late. And I know you and I had talked about that before the show. It's really not too late to pursue those things. And you could go to law school, and you could raise a family, and then still have that itch and find those things that you're really passionate about. So, Tracy, you brought Reese to us, and so if you will do us the honor and tell us more about her.
Well, let
and
me
her
just
bio.
give you an idea of who we have sitting here with us tonight. Reese currently is the Director of Development and serving on the faculty at Katy Conservatory of Film and Dramatic Arts here in Dallas. An acting, performance, and motion picture production program she teaches. Workshops and guest artist contracts of hers include the Kennedy Center Imagination Celebration, Southeast Theater Conference, and the Texas Commission on the Arts. She's an award-winning broadcast talent with thousands, I'm telling you, thousands of commercials and voiceovers to her name among an international clientele. She's a founding member of the Lone Star Comedy Troupe, and regional theater and indie film credits spanning 3 decades across the country include AMC and ABC's Emmy-winning series Breaking Bad, not too shabby,
Yeah.
and American Crime. Her memberships include Women in Film. She's the past president here in Dallas of the Dallas chapter. And SAG-AFTRA. She's currently the vice president of the DFW local. And her production credits include co-writer of the award-winning documentary short Cowboys of Color, and the writer, producer, director of a feature documentary called Ideas into Action, and in pre-production about a legendary Texas arts educator, Paul Baker, who we've all heard of. And she's represented by the Claudius Agency here in Dallas. But I have to tell
Calidus Agency.
Calidus.
Yes.
What did I say? Cadillac?
I don't know. Yeah, probably.
But I have to tell you, do I have time before I break?
Oh yeah.
I think an interesting thing Reese and I have in common is that we both got our start in this business. Our paths in life were really influenced, both of us, by the same man. And that was our dear high school choir director from Justin F. Kimball in Oak Cliff many years ago. His name was Richard Bryan. And God bless him, he's gone to his eternal reward. But he actually influenced a number of students that went through his program who are now working professionally and have for many years in the business. And like Dick Bryan, she and I both, in addition to having a professional career, felt a calling to work as teachers to impart what we've learned professionally to young up-and-coming performers and actors and students, and to help them get started in their career.
Yeah, and I think I'm such a huge advocate of STEM being STEAM, because I recognize
agree with
what
that.
the arts can do, for your personhood. We called it the Weird Wing at Kimball, and that's where everybody did the UIL1 acts and the choir and everything, But honestly, first of all, the arts in any high school are a place where anybody can go and find a place. I mean, to be in the band, you have to play something, and to be on a sports team, you have to have some kind of ability. But in theater, we will find a place for you, and it's a place where you can learn to exercise all the things that you're going to need to express your personhood, no matter what you choose to do for a living. Because it's like I always say, I'm married to a scientist, and I believe that the STEM, the core subjects, might be what you do, but you learn how you're going to be in the arts. And self-expression is what it's all about. I teach creative process at the conservatory, and it's the archaeological dig of you and figuring out, what your baggage is, what your triggers are, what are your goals and dreams, getting real clear about those. And then instead of going out and getting your piece of the pie, figuring out how to make your own pie.
I love it. Absolutely. So for someone who may have a little bit of talent, but they really are more interested in the back end. Let's say they like the writing part. Very interesting how your career spanned over many different types of art. Talk about that a little bit. That it's not just getting up on the stage and being the spotlight person. There's a lot more to it.
Right. Well, it might be where you start because, you might have auditioned for the 8th grade play and that's where you started. But there are so many rabbit holes in this industry, jobs that you never even knew were jobs. My neighbor ended up being the guy who held the fan for Barney. You remember Barney had Barney's big old mouth, David Joyner was the dancer who, animated Barney, but my neighbor was the guy who toured the world holding the fan on breaks so that he didn't have to get out of the suit to cool out. I mean, just odd things like that, You can end up on a national tour. So many of the kids that have gone through the program have ended up in the far corners of the world, and thank goodness for Facebook because I love keeping up with them and seeing what they're doing. Some become songwriters, some become stand-up comics. It's just, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. But I think in this business, there's a lot, you can never stop. You don't have to stop.
Well, the fascinating thing to me in working with young performers is many of them don't know what they've got. And until you get into and immerse yourself and start discovering these alternate creativities, you don't realize what you have.
But you got to start somewhere. You just have to have, boldness has genius in it. Jump in.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. That's a perfect place for us to take a break. You're listening to Art and Stage Talk Radio, and we'll be right back.
Me and you, feeling lost and feeling blue.
We're back. Welcome to Art and Stage Talk Radio. This is Heidi Hardy. I'm your host with co-host Tracy Jordan. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Yes, if you're just tuning in, we have a wonderful guest in studio, Reese. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome. We had a great first quarter of our show, and looking forward to digging in a little bit more. A little bit more about you, but a lot more about Katy Conservatory College also. So there's a lot to cover. We're going to go straight to our wonderful sponsors before we get started.
I'm delighted to tell you about Dance Sport Training Center. Parents, are you looking for after-school ideas for your children? What about an activity that improves their social skills? Lord knows many teens and preteens need social skill improving. Well, this works with their ability to work with others and helps them learn how to effectively communicate with their peers, all while being cost-effective for you. At Dance Sport Training Center, they focus on developing your child in the genre of competitive ballroom dancing. Your youth program is 3 days a week after school at their training center. Each day consists of 90 minutes of training in both ballroom and Latin disciplines. They offer a facility where you can drop off your child and the flexibility for the parent to either stay and watch the class from their lounge, get some work done in their library, or run those many errands that pile up during the week. For your youth, they focus on their knowledge of ballroom dance and music theory. Since the genre involves dancing with a partner, from the beginning, your youth will learn how to work with another person and how to communicate better in a team scenario, and as they work towards their goal of ballroom dancing. And about the parents' pocketbooks, well, they offer first semester for all new students free. That's right, a chance to introduce your youth to the competitive side of ballroom dance with no tuition. The spring semester starts January 9, so get your child registered now as spaces are limited. We can be reached at 214-600-9171 or by email at dancesporttc.com. You'll pardon the stutter. For more questions and details, please give them a call or check out their website. And we can't wait to get started with your child. Dance Sport Training Center is a proud member and sponsor of the Dance Council of North Texas. Now, did I also mention to you our other new sponsor, Danielle Georgiou and her dance group?
No. Actually, we heard from them last week. But
Well,
please,
you're going to
tell
hear
us
from
more.
them again this week.
Absolutely.
Let me tell you.
Tell us more.
The Danielle Georgiou Dance Group, and I love their an acronym. It's DGDG. Their 2014 season was listed as one of the top highlights of dance in Dallas that year by the Dallas Morning News, Theater Jones, and Art and Seek. And in both 2014 and 15, DGDG was nominated as Best Dance Company by D Magazine in their annual Best of Big D series. Now, Danielle's works break with the tradition of contemporary dance and tend to be more conceptual or narrative driven. And they've got a program coming up you're going to want to check out. They're presenting a new work called Warflower, January 19th through the 28th at the Bathhouse Cultural Center. Tickets are only $15, and you can get more information on the event at dgdgdancegroup.com. They are Dallas's best dance company, the Danielle Georgiou Dance Group, presenting Warflower at the Bathhouse Cultural Center, January 19th through 28th.
I love our sponsors. The youth and the ballroom dancing just sounds so cool, and it would be fun to watch. It'd be fun to watch them learn their
Well, and it's
moves
thanks
and-
to Dancing with the Stars, actually very contemporary and
Sure.
very hip these days. And if you watch that program at all, it's very athletic.
Absolutely.
And something else that you said in there that I thought was so interesting was mentioning the Bathhouse Cultural Center. It reminds me what a great time this is to live in Dallas in terms of the city supporting the arts. I mean, with a world-class symphony and an opera house, and the reason the Bathhouse is special to me is because it's in my neighborhood, and it's home to many theaters, Echo Theater, Wingspan Theater, 130 Productions, all use the bathhouse. There's so much theater going on in the city now.
You know, I have to tell you, having lived and worked around the country, Dallas, you're right, is fortunate in that we have one of the most healthy and preliminarily, I'll use the word community theater scenes in the country. But Dallas is full of professional actors who happen to have day jobs. And so the work that you're seeing in the theaters around the city is really professional level work, excellent work being done by excellent actors. And if you've never gotten out to take advantage of the performances at the various theaters around town, you have Uptown Theater, the Water Tower, Theater 3, the Circle Theater over in Fort Worth, these that we've just spoken about, the Bathhouse, and all of those. It's just a rich cornucopia of entertainment offerings. And having lived in Las Vegas for 20 years, the entertainment capital, it was like all the talent was sucked up working on the Strip. And there was very little options that you could take your family to and enjoy a play or a comedy. And that was one thing I enjoyed about coming back to Texas, to be able to jump into that entertainment pool again.
That's a great segue to talk about the school, in fact, because so many of our faculty members and our students are performing and directing in those theaters. We had 3 of our kids in really big parts in Dreamgirls. The theater center did the Rocky Horror Picture Show. One of our grads was Rocky. You know, I mean, it's and that's because a conservatory, in case you don't know it, unlike a university, a conservatory, the faculty is all working professionals who, like you said, Tracy, we have our lives, we have our other, you know, your tap teacher might have her own studio, and your production design teacher from the film program has his own production design company, but we take time off from our professions to come to the conservatory to mentor young artists. And, you know, there's bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, PhDs among us, but it's mostly about the doing. You can count on your teacher being able to bring, you know, the evolution of whatever's going on in your particular industry, bring it back to your classroom.
And that really promotes what they're offering there is really current, cutting edge in the industry.
Well, you know, in many, I guess, educational institutions, having someone who's teaching for a long period of time and not necessarily applying what they're teaching on a daily basis there can be some criticism for that, and I'm not saying that that's a bad or a good thing, but having someone who's living in that space and coming with fresh ideas from the last production they put on, or fresh ideas, or being able to also share those human interest moments where, if you're crying because you're so scared to get on stage, or all those things that happen for performers and artists, they can relate.
Oh, absolutely. No matter what's going on with you as a student, somebody on the faculty's gone through it. We can relate.
Well, I as a professional, I like and admire that philosophy of get the students in, cram as much into their brains as you can, and then kick them out and get them working.
Yeah, that's the student that we serve. It's interesting you'd say that, because that's one thing I wanted to point up on the program was that, we are an associate's degree, which is usually a 2-year degree, and it's a compressed fast track. You're in and out with your associates in 15 months. So we're not for the faint of heart. And if you're interested in getting away from home for the first time, like I did at UT, and having a bunch of fun, I wasted a lot of my dad's money. And so I would say that if you know that this is what you want to do, and you want to graduate with a very reasonable student loan into your new life in the arts, an associate's degree is the way to go. And I think of them as side dishes. Rather than one big bachelor's degree, you can have little side dishes, and a lot of kids do that. They'll graduate from the acting program and decide, you know what, I don't want to wait for the phone to ring. I'm going to take, what time and monies I've got left and do the other associate's degree in motion picture production and make movies starring guess who? Me.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful concept. And the school has grown even beyond its associate's degree to an articulation. if this is a good time to talk about
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Oh,
We
please
have
do
a-
articulate on it, won't you?
We have. No, and articulation, in case you don't know it, it's different than transferring, because with the transfer, there's always a question mark. Will this biology credit transfer to the school where I'm going? Will this English credit transfer? And with an articulation, it means that Santa Fe University of Art and Design reached out to us and said, would you be our Texas pipeline? And they have already vetted us, and they know that everything will transfer. So you may graduate from the associate's program in, say, musical theater, and you may be busy working because your teachers have taken you all over to Water Tower or wherever, Garland Summer Musicals, and you've got some momentum going. And yes, I know Mom and Dad want me to get a bachelor's, but I've got an agent, and I really want to, ride the wave. At any point down the road, you may decide, now it's time to go back and get that bachelor's. I've gotten my degree in basic filmmaking, and now I want to put a fine point on it and get the bachelor's in directing or the bachelor's in graphic design. So Santa Fe University of Art and Design has a much bigger umbrella, and we plug nicely into that. So a dancer can, spend some time after they leave KD working and then decide, I want a choreography bachelor's and finish out in Santa Fe.
And
For half price. That's the thing. Talk about it not having much of a student loan to pay back. That's the great thing.
And for many parents, that I have 3 grown children now, and they're all working professionally right now. But that student loan, whether it's on the parent or it's on the student, it's a national conversation right now. It's very scary. So that's good to know that there's an affordable way. And a way to also work immediately, because I don't know that that's necessarily the case in all educational, roads that people would take.
No, and it wasn't around, certainly when I was in school. I think it's a new idea, and I think it makes college affordable. What's in it for Santa Fe University of Art and Design is that they get to, we are doing the sorting for them. What we get to do is say, now we can be attract to a bachelor's for you if that's what you really want. And what the student gets out of it is saving all that money.
Yeah.
In the space of your college career, you have gotten you've gotten a 4-year degree in less than 4 years for half price, and this is worth gold. This isn't anywhere in the literature, but I know, being a professional, it's the networking aspect.
Oh, yeah.
You have networked in North Texas, which is huge, and you've networked in New Mexico, which is huge.
Tell us a little bit about the history of Katy Conservatory.
Well, we started under the tutelage of the woman who still runs it. I adore Kathy Tyner. She's our CEO and our founder. She was an agent with Kim Dawson way back when, and decided, you know what, we need to get these models trained up because I think they saw the writing on the wall that Dallas was going to become sort of a mecca for commercials. And she opened her doors as a studio, and that was 30 some years ago, and we have evolved and grown into a degree granting institution. And that it's a magical little intersection of the universe right here, nestled between the medical district and the design district here in Dallas, where lives are absolutely changed. And I don't mean that necessarily everybody comes out of there, pursues a life in the arts either. We have had so many examples of people writing back and saying, what I got out of the time that I invested in myself in that conservatory changed how I deal with who I'm my clientele today. I'm thinking of an international tile maker now who, he's an artist, but the way he interacts with people has been forever changed. He didn't have a chance to do that in his high school.
Reese, that's that gets back to what you were pointing out about STEAM, and something that I like to talk about when I talk to groups and to students. It does not take away from an emphasis on academics to promote arts education, because really what arts education is about is taking what you learn in those academic textbooks and applying it. That algebra or those physics or finance. If you're going to be doing, as an adult, a sales presentation or a presentation to some investors, where do you learn to speak in front of a crowd? Well, you have to get up and do it. And one of the things that I really appreciate and admire about KD, the entertainment industry has a certain reputation. There are a lot of agencies, talent, quote unquote, agencies that are pay to play, that make their money. Well, you need to come in and take these classes before we're going to submit you. So for Kathy Tyner and Katie to have taken that leap and done it legit and gotten the accreditation and gone to the time and expense to do it legitimately, so that the students that are coming in are actually getting a tradable certificate that they can take to a higher level. It's what makes them unique.
You're right. It's shark-infested waters, and to find an organization that is legitimate. Kathy Tyner is at the center. She's received so many awards. You can consider KD Conservatory to sort of be the epicenter of the. Not only are we the only camera school as such in the Southwest, because if you want to be an actor, you're going to be taking voice and and acting and movement 3 days a week, but you're also going to be on camera 3 days a week. So she has legitimized it, and she has made it safe for you to send your children to a place where they're not going to be, $3,000 and we'll fix you right up, kid, kind of thing. And I would love to think of us. I would love for everybody out there to think of us as I do, which is that we are a resource. If you have a question, if you want to know what's going on in the industry in Texas, call KD. And the union is also another wonderful resource. There are lots of organizations that an actor can belong to. Dallas Producers Association, Women in Film, as you mentioned earlier. All of your faculty are in leadership in all of those. I'm currently the vice president of SAG-AFTRA, the Actors Union. Your teachers are all in Actors Equity. So we are all... we have stamps of approval, and we are all active in our industries. And Katie is right at the center of anything that's legit. So before you sign up for that thing on Craigslist, call us.
Yeah.
Well, we have about a minute left, and I definitely want to emphasize the resource that Katie Conservatory is, and encourage people to go to kcstudio.com.
KD.
I'm sorry, kdstudio.com.
You're thinking of that disco band.
There's some great information. In fact, you guys have some wonderful ratings and comments on there. One of the things that I found when I was doing some research on it was that it's 15 months and it's intense. So if you're really serious about moving your life in a direction that you're going to follow your passion, and I'm very excited for people who make that decision, then this is the place to go.
And we're connected in other markets.
Yes.
So we, if you want to leave Dallas and move to Chicago, we will make a call for you, and there'll be somebody waiting.
Oh, that's terrific. Well, we're going to talk more about the studio. We're going to talk more about how anyone that's listening and watching and interested in furthering their hopes and dreams or their careers could do that with the KD Conservatory. So we'll be right back.
I hope it's not too late just to say that I'm sorry, honey. All I want to do is just finish what we started, baby.
was an allegation made against some of our students.
About what? We've got a block of fundamentalist families to deal with. There's a lot of money at stake, tens of millions locked in our CEP.
Money I brought in. I need to speak to Reese Bashir. He won't put up with this.
Well, Linda, they gave me a $250 ticket. You happy?
I didn't want for you to get a ticket.
Well, then why did you call the cops on me?
I wanted to make a statement.
Well, I'm here now. Make your damn statement. Say what you want to say to me.
You need to get your kid under control. And maybe you should teach him not to steal while you're homeschooling him sub-kindergarten skills.
Kind of like you did your son? The one that walked out on his family? At least I'd teach my son to be a human fucking being.
That's enough. Get outside. Now, come on.
Damn it!
Look, I know that Maddie wasn't supposed to tell me, but she did, and that's the reason we rushed back, because the cash prize for this event is $5,000.
Wait. You said our ranch. Is that what you said?
Well, you're gonna need somebody to help you fix that place up.
Well, what do you mean by that? That may be a little bit rusty, but come on.
Right now, I am spending my precious time talking about a character that is going to end up on kitty underwear. Do you know what kids do in their underwear, Patricia? Now, I need an action figure. I need it to be modern, I need it to be realistic, and I need it to be gritty. Kids right now, you know they like dirty heroes. And on your way out, why don't you ask Sam to get me a nice cup of coffee, please? Please. You know what, honey? We are definitely going to make a purchase here this evening.
Well, thanks, beautiful.
Michael, your work has such a heart.
Well, I love you guys. Thank you.
Oh, mwah, mwah.
Thank you. Kathleen, we have some motivated buyers.
So excited. Oh, may we? You can bet your bottom euro. I was just telling Skylar, everything looks great. Okay, we've been talking about it for months now. It's time to make a decision. You know what I'm going to say, don't you?
The C-section?
And if it's a yes, we need to schedule it.
For the baby, I say yes.
Well, I agree, considering that your fluids are on the low side. I think it's best we take her a little early. So why don't we schedule it for a week from Friday?
Isn't that a Friday the 13th?
Welcome back. You're listening to Art and Stage Talk Radio. We are here with Reese Myers McCormick. You just watched a demo reel of all her great work, Reese. I am speechless. That was so fun to watch.
Well, that's what a good editor can do for you.
Well, I love Breaking Bad, and I was when we had talked earlier. You had said you were on Breaking Bad. I was trying to think, where you were on that. So that was awesome to see. Great work, and so. Yeah, this is, I guess, Tracy, this is a great segue to talk more about Reese and her wonderful career.
Yeah, I got to ask you, what's the feeling when you're working on and you can tell me where in the series you were. Was it early on? Was it later? Because that became such a pop cultural phenomenon, and to be a part of it. How did that feel?
It was. I'll tell you, it was season 2. It was episode 9, and the package that arrived in the mail was there was a cover letter on it from the production company that said, "Hooray! Our little show got another season." And I was going, no, nobody had heard of Breaking Bad except the 3 stoners down the street. I didn't have any idea what it was, and it was rather a grueling shoot for me, just technically, because the director comes over after take 1 and he says, could you move your stool over, and you're wedged between the bed and the sonogram machine, and there is no over, so you're hanging on by one cheek, and you're, and the sound guy comes by and he says, could you not put so much wind in your mic as you cry? Don't turn your head, okay? And the script supervisor comes over and says, you said "and" instead of "to" here, and so there's a million technical things happening, and at one point during the actual, and it's the last shot of the day, so the crew's all going, oh my God, no, we've got this actor we don't know who's driving, how long are we going to be here? And so there was a lot of pressure. And I was thinking, well, thank God this is just a dinky cable show no one's ever heard of if I really do that, And that's how, and that's what it was at the time. It didn't become a phenomenon until much, much later. And I didn't even watch it because I had little kids at home and it was dark,
Yeah.
So, but now all of my teenage, fresh out of high school male students all think I know something now. So that was what it was good for.
How exciting! How exciting to be just to have the opportunity to do some of the things that I noticed that you had the comedian in your bio.
Lone Star Comedy.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was one of those things where you where you say, okay, I've got some career goals that I need to take care of, and I thought that doing improvisation sounded scary. And I thought, I've done everything else. Let's go ahead and, jump in. And it turned out to be just a fabulous way it was like going to the gym. And everything else that was on my acting list, my goals at the time, came into fruition during the 2 years that I was doing Lone Star Comedy. Because it's such a, when you're waiting for the phone to ring and days or weeks or months go by between auditions, you lose your momentum. Mm-hmm. And that's a way of keeping it up. I highly recommend that people get into classes beyond your education. And so just staying with actors and even if you just get together and read scripts. I think that's very important. And my current goal right now, I'm going to say it out loud.
Come on, we're talking about 2017.
I want to do stand-up comedy.
Wow.
And it's gonna, this is really weird. I hope nobody I know really is, my husband's not listening to this because he has no idea that I've been going to comedy clubs to check it out and see where the ones that would be a good fit, nice audiences that don't throw things and heckle and. But I've got, my subject matter in mind, and I think it's important, as you age and as you grow and evolve, that you stay true to what you are now. I mean, I would have to, I would have to do things that are germane to me and my life. I could do mother-in-law humor, for example, or mother of the bride humor. But there's a little girl who's gone through KD who was at one of the clubs that I was at the other night. Her parents sort of herd her in with her ears closed through the bar, and she gets up and she does her 3 minutes, and then they cover her ears and herd her out of the bar. But she's going to have her own show. She was on Ellen, and she started at KD. I'm real proud of her.
Well, so I'm surprised by that. I've done some interviews with 4 Day Weekend guys, David Ahern and Frank Ford. Mm-hmm. Really cool guys.
They were Lone Star Comedy guys with me. David Wilk. Mm-hmm.
They're just, and what was fun was there seemed to be always on. They're while we were talking, and then even after the show, they were just really fun.
Was Oliver with them?
No, it was David Ahern and Frank Ford. Mm-hmm. But I've had the pleasure.
So you had 2 of the 4 day.
Yes, and of course, and they do classes at 4 Day Weekend. They're one of the longest standing over there in Sundance Square.
Oh, absolutely! Sign up to study with those guys, man.
Yeah, well, but some of the feedback from comedians, including some that I know really well, is that stand up is one of the scariest.
Mm-hmm. Sure, but 50% of the commercial auditions you're going to go on are going to be improv.
Yep.
So it's going to be about, I wanted to talk about being nimble. You talk about the future. Education reform is one of my big stumps. Tracy said in that intro that he read that I was working on a documentary about Paul Baker. It's the backbone of the creative process class that I teach to incoming first semesters at KD Conservatory. And it's all about, it went right out of my head what I was going to say about creative process.
On your toes.
Yeah, it's about being nimble. And I think that in terms of education reform and infusing however it is that we go forward, hopefully without so much testing and more process rather than product focus, that you can do your child a service, I think, by teaching them to just be ready. Because the world is changing so fast. Even when you and I were in high school, Tracy, I mean, we could pretty much predict what our workplace would be like. There's no predicting that now. It's just going. So for you to be fearless and confident and nimble
and comfortable
ready.
in your own skin.
That's what I mean about confident. I mean, it's so that you can deal with whatever's coming your way. Well, where do you learn that? In the theater,
That's true. That's true. The ones who will survive and thrive are the ones who can adapt. Sorry, dinosaurs.
Yeah. But it's not just, I'm not just talking about the arts. I'm talking about innovation. I'm talking about science innovation. I mean, to be creatively fearless and confident is what I think the future. And another thing that I'm very excited about, when I was working on American Crime, John Ridley, that's his show. And you may remember John Ridley from all of the awards he won for 12 Years a Slave. And so he was in Austin for 2 years doing the first 2 seasons of American Crime. And I didn't have much to do on the set, and so I was a sponge. And I could not help but notice all of the diversity on the set. He's not just talking the talk, he's walking the walk. And the writing crew that he had together, the physical crew, all the camera loaders and operators were women. Boom was a woman. One of the first ADs was a woman. The director of photography was a tiny little Asian woman. And I just thought, I couldn't wait to get home and tell my girls in the film program that the world's ready for you, chicks.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's
I love
really
that.
and one of the clips that you watched, there was one of our grads was on the set. A female was working in the she was a camera loader on that shoot, and I was never more proud than the day that they had a snafu in the lighting department. And Adriana stood up and she goes, I can take care of that. I know exactly how to do that. And she saved the day and became, part of the lighting crew on that day.
That's terrific.
I know.
What a story.
I know.
What a story. Well, something you said earlier, I just want to touch upon again, too. You were talking that whether you've got, if you're an adult wanting to venture into this, it's something you've always wanted to do, or whether you're a high school student looking for a college option other than university, other than out of town, post-graduation, or if you have a child that you think has got some acting chops naturally that need to be developed. Katie really has a place for all of those individuals. Now, how do they get in touch with if they want to learn more? Can you direct them how to?
Absolutely. I would go to the website, kdstudio.com, and that breaks it down for you. You can go to the career program for your associate's degree, which articulates to Santa Fe University of Art and Design, or you can go to the teen programs or the children programs or the adult short courses. So I could say the telephone number over the air if you want to.
Absolutely.
It's 214-638-0484. Repeating, 214-638-0484. That's kdstudio.com.
Very good. Well, I want to go back just for a moment. We have about 5 minutes about the instructors.
Okay.
You said that you really wanted to talk a little bit about why they're special. I think when we're considering any kind of education or investment, it's important to know who you're sending your child to or who you're investing in. So give us a little more information about that.
Well, as you can imagine, because Kathy Tyner, the founder and CEO, is a woman of such incredible integrity, you can imagine that she would not let some slipshod program be run under her. So we have got what I consider to be a world-class faculty coming from all regions of the country. A lot of times people don't think of Dallas as a stepping stone to New York, but if you are interested in musical theater and you are New York bound, I would definitely consider starting with KD and letting Michael Serecchia, who's the director of the musical theater program, make an entree for you to his home city of New York. He was in the original cast of a chorus line on Broadway, and he's done a lot of Broadway shows, and he's given a lot of kids, opened that door for them. The director of our acting program, T.A. Taylor, is a regular staple at the Shakespeare Festival of Dallas, as are many of our instructors. We work in theaters all over the town. We are sometimes not in class because we are off on tours.
Yeah.
Some of our students have to take professional time because they get booked along with the instructors, and that's another great thing about a conservatory is the networking opportunity. A lot of times teachers are taking kids with them That's how Clinton Greenspan got to go on the tour to Japan of Flat Stanley, because one of our teachers was directing it at the Dallas Children's Theater, and it went on a tour, and there went Clinton, off on a world tour. So they are all.
Well, mention some of your film and television instructors as well.
Yes. Well, Dennis Bishop is the director of the film program, and he came back home to Texas after a career at HBO, where he produced Dexter, for any Dexter fans out there.
I'm a huge Dexter fan.
Yeah?
Yes, loved it.
Yeah. And so he comes back home to Dallas, and he says, you know what, I want to create a film program whereby any graduate would feel comfortable in any entry-level position anywhere in the industry. And so that's what he does. You will write, you will direct, you will produce, edit, sound design, you'll learn scheduling and budgeting, you'll learn foreign and domestic distribution, you will go to festival, you will learn all of it. And then at some point, after you have been working for a while and you decide you might want a bachelor's, you can put a finer point on it. But yeah, all of the faculty have been amassed from the professional world. We are fortunate and privileged to come together to mentor tomorrow's talent.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much. We have about 2 minutes. I have to thank you because you have this glow and energy about you that you've brought to the show.
Well, thank you, Heidi.
Definitely the passion is there. And
Oh.
I'm almost ready to go sign up and take some classes right now.
Yeah.
'cause I
Your
could learn
teachers
a
are
thing
fun.
or
Your
two.
teachers are passionate. It's contagious.
Absolutely. Well, and you can tell. The other thing I wanted to thank you for as our guest is your message to everyone that do it. Get the confidence. I like the class that you talked about. So maybe we can have you come back and talk a little bit more. About
to.
some of the things that
Absolutely
are going
love
on
to.
in 2017.
Yeah, we need to get some other faculty over here. Glee has made musical theater so popular. We're, bursting at the seams with that. So, or if you want to talk about the world of film, Texas is kind of a mecca for film. The indie,
Yeah.
right
It's
now.
fantastic.
Not blockbusters necessarily, but the indie. So, yeah, we're happy to come back.
Well, we're definitely going to have to do a chapter 2.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
love it.
Thank you so much for being here. And Tracy, it's been fun.
I just will say real quickly, we had promised before the secret code for Park Place Volvo.
Oh, that's
if you're
right.
interested in a Volvo and are planning on going over during their winter sales event, if you go in, for anyone who comes to the store and buys a Volvo, just mention the code 3515DANCE. That's 3515DANCE.
Is that 3515 dance?
It is. It is. If you do that, then Park Place will donate $100 to the Dance Council of North Texas. And we're very thankful and appreciative about that. And just don't forget, too, for upcoming events in the dance world, you can see what those are on our current events listings on thedancecouncil.org.
Yes. Well, thank you again. Thank you for being here. And thank you, listeners and our audience.
Good night, everybody.
Yes, good night. Have a wonderful new year.
Happy New Year.
We're out.
Acquaintance be forgot and